This Void Hunter build makes you a PvE god. With this build updated for Season of the Deep with the new Lightfall build crafting system, you'll be able to get your super insanely faster than normal while also generating orbs of power to a whole new scale. And if you're using your super in the right situations and consistently have adds around, you can generate multiple supers per minute if you really wanted to, depending on the ad density you have. Now recently I did cover a Void Hunter build using the Gyrfalcons to achieve infinite devour and volatile rounds on a consistent loop, but with this build we can actually still achieve the same thing effectively, while actually pushing this build further to get more out of it using the Orpheus Rig and a bunch of mods. So we're going to be getting infinite invisibility, infinite volatile rounds, infinite devour, which then means instant max health on every single kill, as well as getting our grenade back really fast because of that devour effect. And the best part about this build is that every time we get just one kill with all our buffs active, we'll refresh our health instantly while going invisible again at the same time. So we're just unkillable at this point, and it just does a fantastic job. And unlike a lot of builds, this is one build you actually kind of want to use in harder content like GMs, where you have a lot of yellow bar adds around, because that's what's giving us those supers faster with Orpheus Rig. But you can use this build anywhere, it's going to do a really good job regardless. So guys, if you like this one, then a rating is much appreciated. Otherwise, before we get into it, let's quickly check out today's sponsor. Today we are sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. With over 700 unique champions in the game, it's time for you to join the chaos and dominate the battlefield against some of Raid's most dangerous enemies. Or are you too scared you'll lose? Now Raid is fun, and I'm sure you guys will love it too, so here are my top 3 reasons why you should play Raid. Now the first thing I like about Raid that keeps bringing me back to play more is the amount of things you can do in the game, especially when it comes to mastering your skills and abilities, and just making your champions as powerful as you possibly can, and then seeing those champions develop stronger over time. The second thing is the graphics and how smooth the game runs, especially when you take into consideration that this is a mobile game after all. So for what a mobile game has to offer, it is incredible, and Raid does a fantastic job at delivering high quality graphics. But the third reason to play Raid is the consistency of updates. Raid has so many updates on a regular basis that keeps you engaged with the game every month with new champions to chase, as well as special events, so it's kinda hard to get bored of the game because there's always something to do. And speaking of updates, Raid right now has the Call of the Arbiter, and to celebrate this epic limited series, Raid will be adding some of the new characters from the series as champions, which you'll be able to play in game, and that first champion is Artak, which everyone can get for free by just logging into Raid for 7 days between now and July 24th. So now is the best time to jump into Raid, and by clicking my link in the description or scanning my QR code here on screen, you'll get unique bonuses worth $30. This includes the free epic champion, Talia, as well as a bunch of other goodies. So guys, what are you all waiting around for? Download the game today and let's raid. Now hunters have had some of the best builds in the entire game, but there's also a bunch of other builds that are just as good, which is why if you like this build but you want to see more top builds for Destiny 2 Season of the Deep, then be sure to check out my new Season 21 build playlist, which you can find linked down below, because you might just find your new best build in there. But today, we're rocking the Void subclass on the Hunter as a fast supers build, and there are 2 supers that you can use for this build, which are the Moebius Quiver and the Deadfall. Now for this build, we're going to be using the Shadow Shot Deadfall, because this thing got buffed a couple of seasons ago, and now lasts, I believe, 25 seconds, which is just crazy. Because that tether sitting there chaining between ads and bosses is what we want, as that is going to give us our faster supers on top of everything else. Now that tether is going to provide us with 2 benefits, the first one being weaken, which will debuff enemies by 30%, and then the second being the suppression, which will stun overload champions and just in general suppress everything so that they pretty much just can't do anything. And once you throw down a tether, it will chain to all the ads, then you just throw a grenade, and you should in most cases get that super back stupidly fast, considering you just only used that as well. Now a quick example of how this build works is you'll first start by using your tether super on a bunch of ads and then throwing a grenade at them right afterwards. This will get you around 50 to 75% of the super energy straight back, depending on the amount of ads tethered and whether or not they are yellow bars. Then you'll use your void weapons and abilities to generate orbs and void breaches, which is going to give you devour, volatile rounds and invis on every single kill while the volatile round is active. And after that you'll just go about your day as usual, killing everything, while also getting grenade kills for extra super energy and refreshing the volatile rounds. If you don't have an active super, you'll instead start that same chain and gameplay loop by using your grenade first until you get that super. But either way, if you're using this build correctly and you have a lot of ads consistently so that ad density is high, you'll be able to get supers almost every single minute. It all depends on how many ads you have around and the difficulty of those ads, so them being yellow bars and bosses. Now the tether alone doesn't produce much super energy, which is why we're going to be using the Orpheus Rig exotic leg armor, because what this does is provide us with ability energy for each target tethered by Deadfall and gives Moebius Quiver an additional shot. So using this we'll be able to get up to half of that super energy straight back, and as I say, depending on the ads around, whether they're minors, majors and how many there are, you can get that super back insanely fast, which is our primary goal for this build. But if you don't have Orpheus Rig, then your alternative is going to be Gyrfalcons, so that you can make that loop of being invis, getting volatile rounds and infinite devour more consistent. But using that, you won't be able to get faster supers, and I did cover a build with this not too long ago, which you can find in the playlist down below. So for this build today specifically, we're going to be using the Orpheus Rig for that extra super energy. Now with this build, there are two void aspects that are carrying this build, and those are the Stylish Executioner and Vanishing Step. Now Stylish will make you invisible when you defeat a weakened, suppressed or volatile target, and Vanishing Step will make you invisible when dodging. So we have two sources of going invisible, and since Stylish Executioner requires us to defeat debuff targets, we'll be activating that by killing ads with our volatile rounds. And the way we'll get volatile rounds this season is from the Fragment Echo of Instability, since the seasonal artifact doesn't have it this season, so that's how we'll get that loop to start. So obviously, since we're using volatile as our debuff, we'll want to run void weapons. I recommend the Funnel Web SMG or the Commemoration Machine Gun in the heavy slot. Both are really good for ad clear. Now the next thing we're going to want are the orbs and void breaches. So for getting orbs to spawn, we'll use a void cipher mod in the helmet with our void weapon so that we can spawn them on rapid void kills. And for void breaches, we'll use the Fragment Echo of Cessation, where defeating volatile targets creates a void breach. So throw a grenade, get volatile rounds, kill ads with volatile rounds, and then you spawn a void breach. And those orbs and void breaches are good for multiple things. The first being the next Fragment Echo of Starvation, where picking up a void breach or orb gives us devour. And then since devour itself refreshes every time you get a kill and gives you grenade energy and health, you'll be able to maintain that loop from that one orb or breach to have that buff infinitely. Now those void breaches are going to benefit us a lot more this season, because with this season's artifact perks, we have Unto the Breach, where defeating debuff targets creates a void breach, so you could take off the fragment if you want to that creates them, but it doesn't really matter, they're both going to do a good job. We also have Protective Breach, so we're getting an overshield when picking up breaches, and Supernova so that we can apply weakening effects to enemies too. So we really are going all out with this build, and to make this build even better, we'll be using a Fragment Echo of Reprisal to get more super energy when killing ads while surrounded. So you can just run into their face and melt everything, because we'll have Volatile, Devour, Invis and Grenades to ensure that we survive whatever comes our way, and at the same time get our supers faster. Now as for the grenade, I am using a Vortex one. This just works really well for pulling ads in together. Then the super I'm using is the Deadfall. I am running a bunch of mods that help this build too, so we have 2 Ashes to Assets for faster supers. You 100% want this on. A Firepower to spawn orbs on grenade kills along with a grenade kickstart mod. A bunch of cooldown mods mostly for our grenade and class ability. And then a Reaper for more orbs and 2 bombers for our grenade. This way we'll be spawning orbs and breaches like there's no tomorrow. As for the stat focus, I'd recommend 100 discipline, 100 mobility and resilience ideally. So if you can achieve that triple 100, then you will master this build in no time. But this here is the artifact setup if you want to directly copy it for this season, and then this here is the mod screen setup too, but there will be dim links down below for you to copy as well. Honestly guys, give this build a try because it does a fantastic job, and it's by far one of the best builds in the game right now if you want faster supers. So give this build a try, and don't forget to download Raid with my QR code or link in the description so that you can take character development to the next level. Otherwise guys, take care and I'll see you soon. Peace out guys.